It's your man Alex, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys my take on a Mohawk self-haircut. So let's get right into it. So to get started with today's self-haircut, I'm going to be putting in the first guideline using my Glaker trimmers. Now, I'm going to be putting in the guideline kind of similar to a low fade or like a burst fade. So I'm not really going up too high toward the ear. And then as you see toward the back of my head, it's maybe like half an inch, give or take, that I'm taking off. But I'm also angling the trimmer in a way that it creates like a V shape toward the back of my head. Now for the second guideline, I'm going to be using the no guard lever open, and I'm only going to be going up about 3/4 of an inch. So just around like a pinky's width in length. And I'm going to be doing this evenly throughout the entire first guideline. Now, once you get toward the back, you might have to angle your clippers a little bit differently. Notice how I'm going straight up and down on the sides of my head, but then when I get toward the back of my head, because my hair grows in different directions, I have to angle the clipper more so like sideways in order to cut the hair against the grain properly. Now for the third guideline, I'm going to be using the number 1 guard lever open, and I'm still going to be going up around 3/4 of an inch or about a pinky's width in length. Now again, I'm following the same exact guideline as before, just making sure I'm going up exactly 3/4 of an inch, doing my best of course, just to make sure that I'm trying to make the guidelines as perfect as possible, making sure each one is about the same exact length. Otherwise, later on in the fade, I'm going to notice a lot more like dark spots, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult when I have to fade in those hard lines. So really do your best to make sure that each guideline that you're putting in, you're trying to make each one exactly 3/4 of an inch, or at least the same for each guideline. Now moving forward with the number 2 guard lever open, still I'm going up 3/4 of an inch, only now I'm going to be going up around a 90-degree angle and then freehanding at the same exact time. So I'm kind of building the shape with the number 2 guard, and I'm just going up at like a 90-degree angle, and whatever hair falls into the blade is what gets cut. So notice how I'm going up, I'm cutting the hair and just letting any of that longer hair fall into the blade, and I'm just freehanding and creating that shape. And by creating this shape like this and just freehanding, I'm also blending at the same exact time. So I'm not creating really harsh, hard lines. I'm just kind of creating that nice gradients throughout the fade. And so now that all of the guidelines are in, we can go in and start the fading process for the self haircut. So I'm starting off with the no guard lever halfway open, and I'm going to be going up about halfway through that first guideline. So I'm only going to be removing about 50% of the hard line. Really, the no guard lever halfway is just a method of softening up the hard line. You're not going to get rid of it using this method, but it is like a 1, 2, 3-step process to get rid of that first hard line. So we're just softening it up about 50% with the no guard lever halfway, and then now we're going to be going in with the no guard lever closed. This should get rid of the hard line by about 90-ish%. Sometimes it'll get rid of all of it, sometimes it won't, especially when you get toward the back of your head where your hair is a little bit more dense, so it's a little bit more difficult toward the back. And then afterwards, if you have to, you can always go back to the trimmers to get rid of the rest of that hard line. And when it comes to fading your hair, I always like to say start from beneath the hard line, go up, hit the hard line, and then flick away at the same exact time, and then just keep repeating this process throughout the guideline. And so now going in with the half guard lever closed, I'm going to be going in and removing the second hard line. Now, one thing I like to do when I'm fading my hair is use my left hand to stretch out the skin and really elongate that zone where I'm going to be flicking out with the guards. So notice how I have my left hand, and every time I'm going near the guideline, I'm moving my hand and stretching out the skin in that area. This elongates that section, so it allows me to not make any mistakes, right? So I'm making that surface area a little bit bigger and giving me a little bit more flexibility when I'm flicking out with the clippers. Now to finish off with the clipper, I'm going to be using the 1.5 guard lever closed and doing the same exact thing, just flicking out while also stretching out my skin at the same exact time. Now, one thing I like to do with the 1.5 guard is sometimes it's a little bit difficult to kind of see where I'm cutting because my hair is so dark and the line isn't as visible. So I'll do a lot of cutting based on what I'm hearing. And so every time I hear the hair getting cut in the clipper blades, that's when I know to go a little bit further and then pull away at the same time. So now that we're done with the fade, we can move forward with the thinning shear over comb technique to blend in everything that we just faded on the sides and back of our head into that longer length on top. So what I like to do is slowly cut with the thinning shears as I slowly move the comb at the same exact time. So it's literally a 1-for-1. Every time I'm slowly moving the comb, I'm slowly cutting with the thinning shears at the same exact time. Now you wanna, it's a little bit difficult, so you're gonna wanna use your mirrors appropriately, and it might take some practice to get used to, you know, the way that you have to hold the comb in different sections of your head. But this is honestly going to be one of the best ways for you in order to blend the hair, especially with the fade going into that longer length on top. Now, for one of the best parts about the self haircut is doing the detail work within the fade, and what I like to do is something I call the reverse thinning shear method. So I basically take my thinning shears and I flip them in reverse, and wherever I see any bulky spots or any hard lines left over that I couldn't get with the clippers, I like to use the thinning shears and cut directly at those places where there's bulky spots or hard lines still in the fade. So I'm just going in right now throughout the entire fade on both sides of my head, wherever I see that I can make the fade a little bit more gradient, right? Really adding the cherry on top and doing that detail work to make the blend look super gradient, nice and clean. This is going to be one of the best ways that I found to make my fades look really gradient and just really nice overall. So I highly recommend you guys give this method a shot if you haven't already. And so now we've reached the point where we can give ourselves a beautiful lineup throughout our head and really make the haircut come together now. So what I'm going in and doing is using my trimmers, I'm putting in that V-shaped line toward the back of my head, doing my best, looking at the mirrors, taking my time. You know, it's really tough because you have to bend your arm in very weird ways, and if you don't, you know, if you're not used to looking at yourself in reverse through the mirrors, then you might want to take some time to practice doing this, right? So I encourage you to try it, practice it, use a handheld mirror if you have to, because it's a little bit difficult to look at the $7 mirror on the wall. But this is going to be a great way to line up your hair and give yourself that crispy, clean V shape on the back of your head. Now, what I like to do for the lineup in the front of my head is use my little $5 scissors that I'm pretty sure I got from Target like 15 years ago, and I still have them to this day. This is honestly one of the safest ways to trim my hairline and just cut all those little baby hairs. And I just think it's a little bit more accurate, a little bit more precise than using the trimmers, and it's a little bit more safe as well. You know, I don't want to just my hair and just cut it all off by accident. You know, obviously I'm growing my hair out a little bit, as you can see. But yeah, that's one of the best ways to cut the forehead, and it's the safest as well. Then I'll just move in with the trimmers to do the vertical bars on the sides of my forehead, and then the C cups as well, going around my eyebrows. To finish off the haircut, I'm using some Organowax by Kouras for a natural medium hold matte finish. What I like to do is take about a pea-sized amount of product, rub it between my palms until it's creamy, take a nice whiff of that beautiful rosemary oil aroma, and work it evenly throughout my hair. Because I'm doing a mohawk, I'm using about 2 to 3 pea-sized amounts of product to give me a hold that will last the entire day. Organowax is made with just 6 high-quality, all-natural ingredients, so if you want healthy, nourished hair with a perfect all-day style, check out our products using the link in this video. This is my take on a Mohawk self-haircut. Let me know in the comments below how you think the haircut turned out and what other hairstyles you'd like me to try out next. And if you want to test your skills, I highly recommend trying out this self-haircut. And also, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, check out the link below for our hair healthy products, and watch this video if you want to take your self-haircuts to the next level.